What hot hatchbacks can you get for under 3 grand? Hit the like button if you see more videos like this. Subscribe as well if you're new. 77% of you watching right now are not subscribed. I put out 2 videos every single week. It's nice and free. Get down there, hit subscribe. Let's get into the video. Let's kick this video off with the Skoda Fabia VRS, a car whose stats absolutely don't tell the whole story. It's one of 2 diesel hot hatches in this list, but that's important as it has the PD130 engine, a 1.9 litre turbo diesel inline-4 block, makes 130 brake horsepower, taking it to 60 in 9.2 seconds. 9.2 isn't fast at all, but as it's got that PD130, all it takes is a remap to get to the sub 7 to 60 it deserves. But even journalists worked out the performance was massively understated by Skoda, with Autocar clocking it at 7.1 seconds to 60 without any modifications. So for a bit of a cult classic car with a simple interior and some tasteful exterior modifications, I think these are pretty cool. I am biased though, as my first car was a Fabia. These will run you around £1,200 at the bottom end, and 3k is enough for a 2006 model with 100,000 miles on the clock. Even better though, you'll find many with insanely high mileage, because outside of a few failures, these cars have broadly been very reliable. It's just a shame they're not ULEZ compliant in the UK. Next up we have the Toyota Yaris T-Sport, a car I've spoken about in previous videos for its surprising levels of performance, considering I've proven if you live in the right places, you could even get insured on this as a brand new young driver. They come with a 1.5 litre inline-4 engine with variable valve timing, meaning they put out 103 brake horsepower, taking them to 60 in 8.7 seconds, and I would say, being fair to the PD130, this is probably the real slowest car on the list. Despite its size, it's known to be incredibly fun, and though it's probably not in the real realms of a hot hatch, for sub 3k it might be one of the most complete packages on this list for anyone who loves fun combined with economy and reliability. £2,000 is enough to get into one of these, and 3k gets you 2005 model with 95k on it. Engine wise, they're known to be pretty reliable outside of over consuming oil. Instead, rust and clutches offer the main issues from what I can see on forums. I still think the Ford Fiesta ST150 is the coolest Fiesta ST generation, which should have gotten an RS model too. Go check out my video on the concept RS and why it didn't happen after this video. So the ST is as good as the Fezzer got, and it's a proper boy racer spec as well from factory, with its 2 litre inline-4 engine making 147 brake horsepower, taking it to 60 in 7.9 seconds. Not bad for such a little city car. I honestly think this car is set for future classic status. It looks pretty iconic, it's a cheap fast Ford, and it's been owned by multiple young car people who are now getting into their 30s and will one day want to buy back their beloved cars that helped their passion for cars grow. It's the millennial generation's XR2 or equivalent. They're listed anywhere from around £1,300, and 3k will get you a 2007 model with 80,000 miles on the clock. Generally, they're a pretty reliable car according to most owners I've found online, and the main issues tend to be with the build, with stuff like the exhaust braking or bad handbrakes and the likes. The Peugeot 206 GTI isn't the first hot hatch Peugeot that comes to mind. It comes from an era where the brand weren't really making too many interesting cars for the roads, and it lacks the classic status of cars like a 205 GTI or 106 Rally. That being said, the 206 was incredibly successful in the World Rally Championship, with amazing drivers like Marcus Gronholm and Richard Burns at the helm, although of course the rally car is nothing like the road car, and I can tell you that firsthand, given my dad has done the work to fully convert a standard car to full WRC spec. The 206 GTI though is about as close as you can get without getting an RC spec, which means you get a 2 litre inline-4 engine producing 180 brake horsepower, taking it to 60 in 7.5 seconds. They'll run you around £2,700 at the bottom end, and that'll get you a 2005 model with 70k on it. Gearbox synchros are a known problem on them, same with the electrics, but outside of that, the main problem I could find owners talking about was the finish on the interior. The Seat Ibiza Cupra Bocanegra is one of the coolest looking cheap hot hatches we're going to talk about today, and it's pretty rare too, making it a bit of a head turner. That being said, however, it does have one of the worst engines in terms of reliability, a 1.4 litre twin charged inline-4, which makes 177 brake horsepower, taking it to 60 in 7 seconds. That engine is known for drinking way too much oil and failing, simple as that, and quite a few owners have had catastrophic failures, so even though it looks good, it won't be turning any heads if it's sat in a garage being fixed all the time. This car is effectively the same car as its equivalent VW Polo GTI, just with a slightly sportier looking package. It's a shame that they didn't update the Bocanegra to the 1.8 litre engine though when they did with the Polo, as that would have resolved those terrible reliability failings and given it the performance it deserved. These start at around our 3k limit, and for that kind of money you'll be getting a 2010 model with high mileage. So I hope you guys are enjoying this video. If you are, then do hit the like button and subscribe as well if you're new. And let me know in the comments down below, what is the cheapest car you've ever bought? Mine is a mix up between either my Polo or my Skoda. both for 400 quid. The Mark V VW Golf GTI was a major return to form for the GTI badge after the Mark III and Mark IV progressively got less interesting. The Mark V brought the right amount of performance and the right aesthetic changes to make something that would once again inspire a bunch of car enthusiasts and offer a cheaper alternative to the more aggressive R32. It came with a very typical 2-litre turbocharged inline-4 engine, which makes 197 brake horsepower, taking it to 60 in 7 seconds, matching the Cupra. You can get these in both manual or DSG automatic and as either a 3-door or 5-door. They have a significantly better formula than the previous generation, like the tartan seats, alloys, golf ball, gear shifter and the likes. It's probably the cheapest proper GTI you can actually get into. They're listed anywhere from around £1,800 and 3K will get you a 2006 model with high mileage. Diverter and PCP valves are known to offer some problems on these, as well as the leaking water pumps. Most issues are pretty typical of the VW group in this car's age range, so if you know your noughties VWs, you should be okay. The 182 Renault Clio RS is a properly cool car with great track potential. If you like doing track days, you'll have no doubt seen a few of these razzing around because you only need to do a few small and cheap modifications to get them going well. Tyres, brakes and maybe a replacement driver's seat and you've got a great starter track car. They come with a 2-litre inline-4 engine that makes 180 brake horsepower, taking them to 60 in 6.9 seconds, made possible by their lightweight and smaller proportions. It was a light upgrade over the 172 RS and it's known for its super agile and predictable handling matched with clean, simple aesthetics. Again, like the ST, I think these have the potential for classic status in future, though of course only the best examples. £2,750 will get you into one of these, so at 3K we'll be looking at a high mileage 2004 model. The inlet cam timing variator is known to rattle, gearbox synchros between second and third can wear prematurely, and there's a known power steering leak too. Another car you'll likely see on track days is this, the R56 Mini Cooper S, a car that has not only been used for track days but in multiple entry-level race series around the world for its cheap and cheerful entry point into racing. That's in part thanks to that 1.6-litre turbocharged inline-4 engine that makes 181 brake horsepower, taking it to 60 in 6.8 seconds, though again, that engine isn't really known to be super reliable, with timing chain failures pretty common. If you're after something more dependable, look for one newer than 2011 for the upgraded N18 engine after it had actually settled into the car and overcome some of the teething issues. At the same time, however, you won't get an N18 within our budget, as though the starter under 1K, 3K only gets you one from around 2007 with 75k on the clock. These lost a bunch of weight over the standard Mini 1, stiffer overall dynamics and optional stability control. The one thing I don't think they quite got right though were the interiors, which aren't as sporty as they could be in a sports focused hatchback. Compare them to the next car on this list, for example. The Vauxhall Corsa gets a bad rep for many reasons, but the VXR really is an incredibly fast hot hatchback for the money. It gets a 1.6-litre turbocharged inline-4 engine that makes 189 brake horsepower, taking it to 60 in 6.8 seconds, so it matches the Cooper S almost exactly, but somehow looks newer, beefier and more like a purpose-built hot hatchback, at least to my eyes. They look great, sound great and have a nice interior too, much cooler than the Mini, with the Recaro sport seats and the simple dashboard. They definitely look more dated inside than out, but that's not an issue compared to what I'm about to tell you about. £1,900 is enough to get into one of these, and 3K will get you a 2008 model that's done around 80,000 miles. Sadly, the reason why these are so cheap is partly due to the reliability record, piston 4 failure being the most common catastrophic issue. There are also known issues with the gearbox and electrics, but that piston 4 is the one that will bring PTSD to former owners. Taking the top spot, we have the other diesel hot hatchback, putting all the other hatches in a diesel sandwich, the BMW 123D. This car, like the Skoda, is very remappable and can go significantly quicker than its manufacturer stated times, but even that performance was enough to give it first on this list. That's thanks to its 2-litre turbocharged inline-4 engine that puts out 201 brake horsepower, taking it to 60 in 6.7 seconds. These actually came as a coupe, convertible 3-door and 5-door hatchback, and though in an ideal world I'd take the coupe, as this video is about hatches, the 3-door is great looking and sadly typically more expensive than the 5 doors. They start at around £2,000 and for 1k more you'll be getting a 2009 model with high mileage. Timing chain issues are the main catastrophic problem to note, which is never a good sign. However, the failure rate is likely to be under 5%, so you're probably looking at least 95% of the cars that haven't had a timing chain snap on them. Make of that what you will. And so there you have it, 10 hot hatchbacks you can buy for under £3,000. I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, then do hit the like button and subscribe as well if you're new. Thanks to the patrons for their support. You guys all for watching, and go check out this video on screen for a bunch of other hot hatchbacks.